So good morning, you guys. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood and welcome back to the channel. So today I've just been kind of doing my normal morning routine, just kind of, eating breakfast, cleaning up some things, getting laundry started. And today I need to actually make some homemade laundry detergent. So we're going to do that today. I need to bake something for like dessert for tonight after dinner. And then honestly, the big thing that I wanted to do today, and you guys, I know it's only November, but I'm a planner girl. I like to do things way in advance so that I don't get overwhelmed when it's like time to do things. I want to sit down today and brainstorm basically what I want to do as far as planting for next year for a garden and things. I know it's only November. I know you guys are probably like, you're crazy. But what I'm going to do is actually start like a garden notebook. And yeah, I want to do that. And let me explain, I guess, partially why I do want to plan in advance. Because I'm sure that like some of you, if you are going to be starting like a garden for the first time, I've never gardened before. So this is going to be my first year gardening. So there is expense that goes into that. Once you're established and you have all the tools that you need and then it's probably not as expensive, but there are going to be some costs associated with putting in the garden since I'm a first-time gardener. And then the other side of that too is there's quite a few things that I want to grow that I also want to preserve. One way of that I want to preserve some things is canning, which again, I already have my canners. I have a water bath canner and I have a pressure canner, but I'm going to need to get jars. I do have some, but not nearly enough. So since this is my first time doing all of this, like I said, there's a lot of expense because it's my first time. So I want to spread that expense out. So things like the canning jars, honestly, I will probably start picking up like a 12 pack once or twice a month of like the quart jars, maybe the pint jars. I don't know. See, that's why I need to know what I'm going to be growing. Because then that way, by the time it's, time to start preserving all of this stuff, I'll have the jars instead of having to go out and spend a fortune all at once, because I just can't do that. Like that's just not in the budget. So I kind of have to spread some things out. And the same thing with the garden itself. Some things I think we can plant in the ground. I'll have to go further into detail and explain to you guys a little bit, like once we actually sit down and start talking about the garden, like my thought process in that. But I know we're going to have to get some containers because a lot of what I'm going to be growing, I'm going to be doing in a container garden. So even those things, I can start getting those, well before I actually need them to kind of spread the cost out. So that's really, as far as like main goal today, I really want to start figuring out what I'm going to be growing. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I think I'm actually going to start with making the laundry detergent and get that out of the way, and then we'll jump into the rest. This is the laundry soap recipe that I use. So if you want to copy it, just like pause the video so you can copy it. But I have used this now for quite some time, and it's my favorite like homemade laundry detergent that I've ever done. And then I just put it in like a pitcher, but you can use like an empty milk jug. It makes a gallon, so any gallon size container really, works. So, but yeah, I used to use the milk containers, but here's the thing with milk containers. After a while, they do start to break down and leak, because they're just not, meant for like long-term storage. So my milk started leaking after, like the jug started leaking after about a year. So for me, it was just easier to get a pitcher because that shouldn't break down. Okay, so we need 3 tablespoons of the borax. Which mine's a little crispy here. If you saw the cleaning declutter video, then you know why it's a little crispy. But it's no big deal because we're gonna put warm water in this and it will break it down. So it's no big deal that it's a little crispy. And I hope that the washing machine going in the background is not going to drive you guys crazy. But this is real life, guys. Gotta do laundry. In fact, I have 3 loads of laundry to do today. I have regular like clothing going right now, and then I need to do bedding, which I can do sheets and things all in one load. But then our comforter, my husband and my comforter, is like pretty big, so it has to go in by itself. So today is like a 3-load day. Okay, then we need the 3 tablespoons of the washing soda. Now this is not baking soda, you guys. This is washing soda. There is a difference. Okay, and then once you get those two things in the pitcher, you're going to add some warm water to this to kind of be able to stir it and help it to dissolve. So let's see, are you guys going to be able to see me at the sink? I'll move you over a little bit. Okay. And this you don't have to measure precisely because you'll add more water once this is dissolved. So you just want enough that, you know, you can stir it around and dissolve the powders. Okay, so that should be good. Come back over here. Grab. Let's see, where is my spoon? Oh, here it is. Just gonna grab a spoon and just stir this until the powder is dissolved. Okay, so I got that dissolved. Now we're gonna come back over to the sink and add more water. Now this time it doesn't have to be warm. You just wanted the warm water because it helps the powders to dissolve better. But now it doesn't really matter because it's all dissolved anyway. So we're just gonna fill this up to the 1 gallon line. All right, so we are at 1 gallon and we're gonna come back over here. And now we're gonna add the Dawn dish soap. Now the reason I don't add this dish soap until the end is because like you will get some foam on the top from just the powders, but if you put the Dawn in like when it's still low and then add all that water, you get like a lot of foam. So it's easier to just add this at the very end and like stir it lightly. So you're gonna need 2 tablespoons of the Blue Dawn. Now I have not tried this recipe using like an off-brand. Like for dish soap, I use Great Value, like the Walmart brand. But yeah, for the laundry soap, I've never tried switching it out. I would assume you could do that, but I don't know. So I've had really good luck with the Blue Dawn. So that's just what I've always used. And that's what the original recipe that I followed, that's what they used. Okay, now that that's in there, I'm just going to kind of stir it lightly, just so it kind of mixes in. Okay. That's it, guys. We're gonna put the lid back on it. I'll put it back up in my laundry cabinet. And then when you go to use this, you will need, if you're doing just like a small load, you need half a cup. If you're doing a large load, you need 1 cup. Now I do have a washing machine that can hold quite a bit. So if I'm doing like an extra large load, I'll do like 1.25 cups or 1.5 cups, just kind of eyeball it. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully I'm not making you guys seasick. I'm outside rocking and waiting for Finley to finish. So. Are you eating another acorn? Oh my goodness. So I think for the dessert that I'm going to make, I'm going to do these. It's Phoebe's Fabulous Oatmeal Raisin Cookies, except for instead of doing oatmeal raisin, I'm going to do oatmeal chocolate chips. So I'm just going to, instead of the raisins, I'll do chocolate chips. So if you are interested in the recipe here, I will kind of scan over it so that you can kind of copy it down. Pause if you need to. This recipe is actually from a friend's cookbook. And I know that they just came out with a friend's cookbook not too long ago. But this one is from like the 90s. Actually, let me see what the date is on this. Okay, yeah, the date is 1995. And I'll show you, this is what it looks like. I love this cookbook. I love Friends. Like, it's such a great show. Let me know in the comments down below if you are a fan of the Friends TV show. Okay, so I am at a good point now. The cookies are done. Laundry is going. I still have, you can see it back there. I still have a pile waiting to go into the washing machine. But I figured it was a good time to finally sit down and kind of focus on some gardening stuff. Oh, you guys, I am so excited. I love a new adventure. So what I ended up doing, I had this. It's just this like three ring binder. I got this from the Dollar Tree like way back when it was still $1. And I think this is what I'm going to use to kind of start my garden like journal or garden notebook or whatever. I'm expecting to probably have more stuff that's is gonna fit in this. So eventually I may have to get like a bigger notebook. But to start, I figured this is gonna work. So, honestly, today, I think I'm just going to focus on like the food portion of the garden, because I know if you guys saw, it was like a few videos back when I was talking about, the different things I wanted to do. I talked about how I actually would really like to start getting into more herbalism and things. So that's a whole different garden. That's like the herb garden. And I don't think I'm even going to tackle that today. Today I just kind of wanted to think about food. Now I don't want to overwhelm myself because this is the first time I've ever done this. So I definitely do want to grow some things that I can preserve, like I talked about before. But then I also want to grow some things that I don't have to preserve either, that we can just enjoy through the season. And honestly, with those, it's just more getting the experience of growing, if that makes sense. Like just getting comfortable with the whole just gardening in general. And then the other thing which I wanted to kind of talk about was most of what I'm going to be growing is going to be in containers. And there's actually two reasons for that. Number one, well, first and foremost, where we live, we're on a little under 2 acres, but our backyard, we have like an old septic system. And it's the kind of septic system that the leach lines are literally like half of our backyard is the leach lines. And we don't know exactly where they're at. And with leach lines, you can't really put a garden on top of it because if they're not, like if stuff grows down into them, like you can break the lines, and it's just a big thing. So we know for a fact that we can't really plant a whole lot as far as like in the ground. So we've already decided that we wanted to do a lot of raised beds. But then that's where the other kind of dilemma comes in. We are still not 100% sure that we want to stay here. Like I said, we're on a little under 2 acres. My husband and I are both very much alike in the fact that you could put us on 100 acres, put a house in the middle. We could very rarely see another living soul and be completely content with that. So I know deep down both of us would really, really like to move. But we're constantly bombarded with, is that realistic? And it's not somewhat, I mean, like we could move as far as neither one of us are like tied to this area. But the real estate market is just bad. And honestly, it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon. So the dilemma that we're facing right now is, do we invest in raised beds here? Because raised beds can be quite expensive because you have to get the water, not waterproof. What am I? The treated lumber for that. And we would be putting in quite a few. So it would be pretty costly. Is it worth doing that if we're not even going to be here in a few years? I don't know. That's the dilemma that we have faced. My husband did mention that possibly, depending on what kind of raised beds we did, we might be able to disassemble them if we do move and take them with us, depending on the kind that we do. So, I mean, I guess we're going to probably look into that a little bit. But for this first garden, I think, I mean, maybe we would do like a couple of raised beds just to see how it goes, like maybe 1 or 2. But a lot of what I'm going to be planting, honestly, is going to be in buckets, like those like 5-gallon buckets that you can get for really cheap at like Home Depot. I plan on planting in stuff like that. I plan on maybe getting actual, I guess that would probably be more for like herbs and things, but like smaller pots that can go on my patio and my porch. So that's, I guess that's my other dilemma with the gardening. So with this first initial garden, like I said, I don't want to be overwhelmed. And I also want things that can be grown for the most part in containers. And then possibly we may do like a 1 or 2 raised beds, which if that's the case, then that would open up for a lot of other things. The other thing is too, I mean, like we would love to grow an orchard. Like we would love to get like some apple trees and like a pear tree, a peach tree, but all of those, you plant those and it takes a few years before you see anything. So once again, do we invest in getting those trees and then we may not even be here by the time they start producing? And those obviously, once they reach, to a point where they're going to start producing fruit, you can't like dig those up and take them with you. So we really, honestly, it would be like we are investing in that and not ever even seeing, the benefit of it. So it's just we're kind of in like a hard place because it's like, do we follow our dreams or do we just buckle down where we're at and make the best of here? And I don't know. So all that to say, what I wanted to do, I guess, as far as food is I'm trying to narrow it down to like the foods that we eat the most. What am I spending the most on at the grocery store when it comes to things like produce that, we can start with? So the first thing is lettuce. Now, lettuce, obviously, you don't usually preserve that. I don't think. I guess people probably freeze dry it, but we don't have a freeze dryer, and that's an expense that we're just not ready to make at this point. So, if we do, like, I want to do butter lettuce because that's my favorite, and probably like green and red leaf lettuce. Those would not be preserved in any way. Those, it's, one of those things we would eat it while it's in season, and then when it was done, it would be done. Now, I also want to do spinach. With the spinach, though, I would like to freeze it because I actually do that with spinach that I get from the grocery store. I will freeze it. It freezes very, very well. And then you can stir it into soups and stews. You can put it in smoothies and things like that. So with spinach, I want to be able to freeze it. And then I also would like to try dehydrating it, which we don't have a dehydrator at this point, but I don't think they're that expensive. But if you can dehydrate the spinach, then you can actually turn it into a powder, and then you can put it in, same thing, like stews and soups and chilies. You can put it in smoothies, and it actually, if it's in a powder dehydrated form, it lasts, it would last us all winter. So we would still be able to get the benefits and the nutrients from the spinach, even though it's not fresh. But I mean, it's not like canning spinach. I mean, I guess you can do it, but it's time consuming. You need a ton of spinach to make it worth your while. And I just don't think I want to deal with that for the first year. So I think that's what I would be doing with those. Other than that, like trying to figure out vegetables, I think I want to do some green beans because we eat a lot of green beans. Those I would be able to enjoy fresh, and then I would probably can a bunch of those. I'm kind of toying around with the idea of broccoli because we eat a lot of broccoli and I enjoy it fresh, but then we obviously, you don't can broccoli. I don't think. I don't know that I even want to attempt that. I've never even tasted canned broccoli, if you can even do that. So that would probably be another crop that we would strictly just be eating fresh while it was in season. I also would like to do bell peppers. I would like to do green peppers and red peppers because we do use those a lot. And I don't know about you guys, but like ours at the store right now, you're paying like $1 a pepper, which to me is insane. Aren't green peppers one of those things that like people grow and they give away because they always have way too many? Like, I don't know. So for green peppers, I think with that, obviously we'll enjoy them fresh. And then I would like to freeze some of them. And then I'll also try to dehydrate some of those. So, okay, so that's where we're starting at. Let me write this down. And then I'll think about some other things. I don't know, guys, like looking at this, I might leave it at that, honestly. Another thing, like we eat a lot of like tomato products, but we don't eat actual tomatoes. Like we don't eat fresh tomatoes. It's things like ketchup, salsa, stewed tomatoes, tomato sauce, even canned tomatoes, like canned diced tomatoes, like those we'll eat. But the only person in my house that actually likes fresh tomatoes is my son. And I don't think he could eat like a ton. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we'll do like 1 or 2 plants and I can kind of play around with them. And also just to see how much that produces, like how many tomatoes 1 or 2 plants produces. Because I know to make like tomato sauce and stuff, you need a lot of tomatoes. So I know 1 or 2 plants is not going to be enough, but again, just to get the experience, I guess. Okay, so yeah, it's funny because there's so many. If I knew what I was doing and we were established wherever we're supposed to be, there's so many other things that I would love to grow. Like I want to do pumpkins, I want to do potatoes, I want to do asparagus, squash, like butternut squash. I love things like that. I would probably even try some like other varieties of beans, like black beans and things like that. I would do sweet potatoes. So, I mean, there's like a lot that I eventually want to do, but I just have to figure out where I'm starting. And then as far as like fruit, that's another like really hard one for me. Um, because again, things like blueberries and raspberries, you don't get anything usually the first year. You plant those and then you wait. And just not knowing what we're doing, I don't know that I want to put that, invest in that. Um, I would say that probably the only thing, like if we do decide to put in a few raised beds, I would probably use one of them to do like strawberries because I could make strawberry preserves out of that. But that would, as far as fruit, I think that's probably going to be it for this coming spring. Now, eventually, I want raspberries, I want blueberries, I want strawberries, watermelon, cantaloupe. Um, like I said, we would love to have like an orchard with like apples and pears and peaches. Uh, yeah, so I don't know. I think this is probably a good starting point for me. So now my next step is going to be to kind of read up on each of these vegetables and see the best way to grow them in a container. And I'm probably going to be starting all of this from seed, I think. I know you can usually go to the store and like buy the plants pre-growing or whatever, but another thing that I kind of want to learn with all of this is how to seed save. So I want to make sure that I'm using heirloom seeds so that I can do that. And I don't know, like I guess maybe you can buy heirloom tomato plants or heirloom green bean. I don't know. But I'm assuming if I just like go to Walmart and buy like a plant, I don't know if that's heirloom or not. So it's going to be a learning process, you guys. So, but I'm excited. Let me know in the comments down below if you are a gardener, whether you put out like a huge garden or maybe you just kind of putter around with it and it's more of a hobby. Let me know what you grow. Let me know how you started too. If you're somebody who has been gardening for years, did you start like right off the rip with like a huge garden or did you like ease into it? Because I'm just curious. So, okay, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the vlog here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. It always makes it fun when I have some company. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this and I will see you guys very soon.